Hafara everyone, and welcome back to Osahra. Skibeth, Hafara.
Hafara guys.
How are you today?
I'm very good. Always good when it's about Osahra and about us doing this.
When it's Osahra time. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Good build today. I actually had so much fun building just felt like a very small project compared to my larger scale city builds. I worked on that small border town that we were working on my channel in the last episode, and you just saw a quick cinematic of it just at the very beginning, and it turns out really nice, and I actually finish off the entire town. And I don't really detail the town too much. I really just focus on developing some resorts that are next to these pyramids. Now, these pyramids, I built them, I think, potentially on episode 4, I'd like to say, maybe even earlier, but they're very old. I mean, these are some of the oldest Osahrian builds that we probably have ever done. And, it was always a big plan to have some sort of resorts next to the pyramids, because this is like the main tourist attraction, the tourist trap of the area. It's right next to the border, so I even think that people coming from the border through the border town would probably just spend one night at one of these resorts and then check out the pyramids and then go back. So it's kind of like an important pit stop. But like I said in the last episodes, this town is not like, you don't really want to hang out here. There's probably not that much to do. It's probably just more of a town that services the border and some other communities that live out in this desert here. So it's not exactly much of a tourist trap, this actual town. So I didn't really want to build like a massive town or a massive city, and I didn't really want to have lots of resorts, because this is Osahra and tourism is not the strongest point for Osahra. So I wanted to just build like just a couple of resorts and a couple of just hotels, and sort of have a massive contrast between the resorts and the town, because the town is it's a pretty old looking town. So I was just trying my luck with some of those vanilla buildings, and they weren't really that nice. So I've decided to download this one here and use some of King Leno's pools that he's made for his Paradise City build, which is so awesome, and I love it so much. So it's really cool to actually be using some of the buildings that he's used, because I actually haven't used any of these buildings yet. So I decided to do it. Though this building here isn't a King Leno one. This is, I don't know. Do you know who built this?
No, I was about to ask you from where is this building. I don't remember ever, first of all, using it, but second of all, also I don't remember if I added ever in my collections. And you said then it's about King Leno's, and I thought it is. But now that you ask me again, then I have no clue who did it. But
a lot of the assets I use are going to be King Leno's. So his pools and his the benches and all like the things that sort of sit around the pool are going to be his, and they fit in really, really nicely for this build. But this actual building, I can't remember who built it, who made it on the workshop, but it's quite nice.
Yeah, it looks really good. Really, really good. I like it. I totally like it. And
so
it kind of fits.
Yeah, well, I think it fits really nicely. It's got like a real, I don't know, it's very grand, but I didn't want it to be like this massive towering building, because this town is very small, so I didn't really want that. So I wanted it somewhat close to the ground, only a few stories high, but I wanted it to look, like a lot of money had been invested into it. And then I also wanted a massive divide. I wanted the pool to be surrounded by a big fence and hedges and green grass on this field, on this hotel. But then as soon as you walk out the gates, you pretty much just jump straight on a bus, go to the pyramids, and then go back to your resort, and that would be it. And I've been to lots of towns like this where you pretty much are only sticking within the resort, and it's kind of like fun to actually build something quite similar. And I'm gonna go for some of these beard monkeys, the sandstone. They are, yeah, of course they are. Some of these sandstone walls to go around the perimeter of this, because it's, I don't know, I think it's a bit of a cool throwback to Osahra. Even if we are building a resort, it's quite cool. And and this town's pretty much finished. And Skip, I totally forgot to look at all the names that people mentioned in the last episode for what we should call it. I might have to mention it in a comment below. So sorry about that if I've missed that comment. But yeah, any comments on the build so far?
It looks really nice. I'm looking. I want to see it when it will be also done, because I'm curious where this is going to lead. But I love it. I like it, and I like the idea of having a resort in this border town. It's really not a bad idea. It will kind of feel pretty cool. Hopefully we'll have some dictators statues in the pool as well. I'm kidding.
You can't put them. yeah, why not? I mean, if you guys don't know what we're talking about, King Bigfootia has made some incredible statues of Skib and I as dictators. So go and check out my last episode. You will also see them in the cinematics at the end of this video. But I don't know, Skib, now might be probably as good a time as ever to announce to the people about Osahra and our future plans. What do you think?
Oh yeah, you start.
Oh man, alright. Guys, we have been building Osahra for almost a year. I mean, it might have been a year now, I don't know. It's been a long time, and we've put a lot of work into it, and we love it to pieces, but we have started talking about wrapping up the series. It's just one of those things, you build, and you have all these grand plans, and we achieved, I reckon, 90% of them. But I don't know, I just think that a lot of the builds are getting kind of repetitive as well, as we, the builds that are left at least are mostly building suburbs and industrial areas. And I think Skib and I are kind of keen to move on to bigger, better projects, and a year is a pretty good amount of time to be working on a single series. So yeah, we've started talking about wrapping up Osahra and finishing up this series once and for all. And we're thinking that we will do another 4 episodes. So there'll be one from Skib, 3 episodes. One from Skib, one from me, and then a finale episode from Skibbeth. So that gives you about a month's worth of episodes, 3 weeks worth of episodes. So Skib, do you have anything to say about that?
Yeah, so 3 more weeks from today, I mean, and you guys have to take the entire pleasure and I don't know how to say it exactly from this series, because it's about to end. And when I heard you saying it again, because we keep talking about this wrapping up of the series, it broke my heart a little bit, I have to admit. It's hard. That's why I asked you to start it as well. It's hard for you as well, I'm sure. But I don't know, it's like a little baby, It's our baby is going to university or something, has to leave the house, something like that.
And it's hard. It is, man. It is so hard. Like, I kind of don't want to wrap it up, but at the same time, I kind of feel like we need to have a finish. We need to have an end date.
Yeah, true.
And I know the whole city isn't finished. Like Elkanem, there's more work, and there's a whole bunch of other ideas that we had in our brains for Osahra, but we also achieved a lot more than we actually, there's a lot of builds that I didn't even anticipate building, and I think building the entire city, like, the entire place. I mean, we don't have a power station, we don't have a water treatment facility. There's so much, but I think, like, in terms of like the amount we want to achieve, I think we've achieved it, and I hope people aren't too salty about it. And maybe you're excited to find out what we're up to next on our channels, and I certainly am as well. But I am very sad to say goodbye to Osahra. But we do have another 3 weeks left, which is very exciting. And that does leave me to my next point. We have 3 weeks left. So if you were hanging on to a build, I have no idea what I'm going to build in the next episode. Being the last one from me, I am really wrapping my brain to make it important. So please, in the comments below, please let me know what I should build in the next episode. And if you read somebody else's suggestion, you think it's great, then thumbs it up, because then I'll see it. So definitely let me know. Skib, I think let's not talk about what you're doing, but I think you already have a bit of an idea of what you're going to build.
Yeah, I do. I really do have for both of the episodes. But yeah, the time will come for them as well. And as you said, indeed, even if we haven't ended now the series, at a point this would have ended because everything has an end. And yeah, at a point you feel like you go for you repeat yourself when you do the builds. You feel like you already did something and so on. Maybe, yeah, water station and power station, we don't have it, but let's imagine there are something like this. There is somewhere there in El Canem, because otherwise these guys wouldn't have water and power. But yeah, it was kind of almost time. I don't know when we will make 1 year exactly. Haven't checked it, but I'm sure we are very close to 1 year. So
yeah,
guys,
I mean, if
in the chat.
So make it you go.
Sorry. Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, people, guys, leave comments on there. Leave your thoughts about this series for the next episodes. What you think, if you are going to miss it or not, because we would love to hear some of your ideas and thoughts about this entire thing.
Yeah, and going back to that, we going back to completing everything. I think not even everybody would want to see everything we do. For instance, I mean, you could argue that building a resort like I am right now is unique, and I haven't built that before, but there is probably about 2 hours worth of footage I did not include where I actually build the rest of this town. And you don't want to see me plop down more buildings for a town. You've already seen that like 100 times. So
I saw you plopping some buildings with the palm trees about them. What are those? Also something new. Where did you find those?
My man, that's vanilla buildings. That's a
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
that's like one of the original touristy buildings that like I know you're right, man. Like I never use it either. Like I don't even. When I search for buildings, I don't even scroll through the tab for, tourism or anything like that. And I just figured I would today, and I found this cool building, and by itself it looks really odd. So I clipped it in with another vanilla building, and it kind of makes this really cool hotel that I wanted to go for. And in my mind, that hotel is like a bit smaller, and it's on the fringes of the hotel areas of I guess the touristy area for this particular town. So and it's like the only nightclub, and I don't think a nightclub really belongs in a place like this, not in a town like this at least. And so it's just one of those weird things that like tourism brings to a town. And eventually this whole town will probably be somewhat of a touristy town when Osahra really evolves, and like the latte scene hits Osahra, and it gets like gentrified and all that. So like actually a little bit down the track, you'll see me actually work on another resort-esque sort of place, and I really love the way it turns out. And yeah, it's just around the corner, so I won't spoil it too much. But yeah, this is what I was talking about. I'm just popping down more of the town and not doing any detailed work to it. I'm literally just scrolling through, finding buildings that fit, but kind of sticking with a bit of a pattern, because you know what I'm like, I love city patterns. And for a small town like this, I wanted to sort of have the main hub, the main like industrial commercial hub in the center of the town, a lot of the more concrete style buildings, more of the slightly more modern buildings in the middle, and then around the outskirts to have these sandstone ones, and also some of the more historical ones sort of on the fringes as well, because they've kind of been left untouched, whereas the ones in the middle of the town kind of been torn down and been replaced with some concrete buildings instead. And this is my last sort of little build for this area. This is an area that I'm going to make into another another hotel resort sort of place. Though this hotel, this resort did not kind of go to plan. And Skib, I know you've probably seen them too. These are some of my favorite parts about, I guess, abandoned buildings, is those every now and again you'll like see an abandoned area that's sort of started to be constructed, and that somewhere along the line the construction business, or the people behind, like the investors, have gone broke, and the construction's been halted, and and it's like the buildings have been somewhat constructed and then sort of left to rot. So this is the sort of area that I'm kind of going for. You know, most of these buildings are finished, but then there's one little construction site and pretty much the development's ceased. And I sort of feel like this is quite common in Osahra. You know, lots of, you know, kind of like business moguls will kind of come in here and buy up a place and go, oh yeah, there's like tourism here, let's build, and then you know, it doesn't really take off, and they just sort of leave the site as it is. So this is kind of like a cool, I really loved making this part actually. I really want to make some more of these, and I think it fits in super nice. And I think actually, Skip, you've created a construction site in Elkenem as well in a live stream, I think.
Yeah, it's very small one, but indeed, and I know what you mean about bankruptcy and so on. It's like in many people in Romania, many companies start building some new residential areas, and it's they go bankruptcy. But,
yeah, but I really I love those places, man. Like, I think they're super interesting. It just makes you think like, what happens to that development? You know, like what happened to those people who invested in that company, and what could have been, and what happens to make the construction stop. Yeah, I think it's cool. Yeah. So that's what this area is. What was that?
But it fits pretty nice. Nice idea with this bankrupt little area there. You know, company that went bankrupt and left everything like this. It's really nice idea.
Yeah, and it's like right next to the pyramids as well. So it would have been like a really nice location, but it just did not take off. And but that's pretty much it. Like, I detail the rest of this neighborhood, and you'll see all of that in the cinematics. I don't really go too crazy with the detail, but yeah, I think it turned out pretty nice. But it is pretty much the end of the episode. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Skip, thanks for joining me today.
With pleasure, always a pleasure to be here and doing this commentary with you. One of the last ones.
Oh, please. It's yeah. Now that we're wrapping up, guys, please let us know in the comments what you would like to see in the next builds, the last few builds of Osahra, and let us know what you thought of the series, if you've really enjoyed it, and what you might want to see in future plans for us from us, and of course continue that Osahra story, because we'll be including quite a lot of that Osahrian story within future episodes. That's about as much information as I'm going to give for that. But guys, thanks again for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode. See you later.
Bye.